know if I should mute, if it helps with you talking.
No, it's good. It's good. All I can say is, holy cow! I am just blown away at how many ways the Practice Experts Collaborative is growing. And Sherry, for those folks who haven't been here, I start these sessions with three things. What am I jazzed about? What am I learning? And what are we doing to continue to build the collaborative? And that just kind of starts kicking off the conversation. And then these are just casual sessions to talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about and answer any questions that you have about what we're doing. And I'm delighted that you're interested in this space. I mean, it's crazy how much I'm learning every day. But let me start with what I'm most jazzed about. And there's so many things that it's getting harder and harder to pick it. But without a doubt, the thing that I'm most excited about right now is the new journals and research library that we put up there. And let me just share my screen for a second. So what I'm saying will make sense. And then I'll give you some context for it. Share. There we go. All right. Are you seeing the discovery page?
Yeah.
Okay. So you may have seen this in the featured section, and we're going to leave it up there for a while. So I'm gonna click into it, and I want to talk for a bit about why we see this as so important. By the way, as you're navigating around, there's this little thing right here that allows you to switch to a list view. I find that really valuable because there's the list view that I'm looking at right now, and there's the feed view that looks more like, as the name implies, kind of a running feed. But I wish we could set this as the default, but it is what it is. So here's why I'm so excited about this, among other reasons. What's the biggest complaint or argument that conventional medicine uses when you talk about anything in holistic healthcare? And I'm talking about chiropractors or naturopathic doctors or even health coaches and that kind of thing. The biggest thing we hear so frequently is what? It's not based in science. It's not, there's no science. Well, that's a bunch of hooey. And in fact, it's a bald-faced lie. And so one of the things that this journals and research library does is it provides you the sources, and in many cases, the actual root sources of where the research comes from, where the clinical studies are done, where the peer reviews are done across all these aspects of healthcare. I can't begin to say how valuable this is. If you have a chance to go and look through here, I think there are probably about 60 or 70 journals in here so far. Charles is leading the charge to drive this, more and more every day and find more and more of these journals. And he's just not randomly posting anything he sees up here. He's literally digging in and spending enough time in these sources to know whether it's relevant to what we're doing and really leads to something that's going to be useful for you. So this is already a massive library of research and the science basis behind a lot of the work that we're doing, that in some cases goes back, and we talk about this all the time, it goes back hundreds or in some cases thousands of years, and gives us the credibility and the foundation to stand upon to first of all, have the shoulders of these folks that have done this work down throughout history to stand on it, but then also to refute this hooey that gets put out by conventional medicine that, if it isn't a pharmaceutical drug, then it's not based on science. And that's absolutely wrong. So, this to me is already an amazing resource. It's, Charles has done a tremendous amount of work to build it so far, and we'll continue building it. In fact, is Charles on? Charles, if you want to pop in and say anything about this at any point, I just wanted to make the point, and this is in this section of what I'm jazzed about, and this is the latest thing that I'm most excited about what we're doing in the collaborative, because I think this is just going to be a fabulous resource for everybody. And whether or not you get to the point of in your own work of doing peer review things or going this deep into finding the root sources of information about the work that you're doing, just know that it's here as a foundational resource for you, because it's it does all the things that I was talking about earlier. So an interesting piece of fun fact, trivia, whatever you want to call it, about this. So does anybody have an idea of who is the first commercially available site on the internet? Any thoughts about that?
To the AMA or somebody?
No, actually, it's actually somebody who's in the Practice Experts Collaborative.
You?
None other than Charles Collins.
Would that be
So,
you?
no, that's Charles Collins.
Oh, it was Charles. Oh, okay.
Our Wizard of Oz. So way back before the internet was a thing for hold on, the cat wants to get out of the room. Carla got bored with whatever we were doing. Before the internet was a commercial entity, and really before it was a thing for most consumers, it was a research tool within universities and hospitals and other places in academia. And Charles had created, worked in the publishing industry and believe it or not in healthcare, getting all these resources available to those organizations, and they wanted to get access to them. They said, but we can't we don't have access to email. We can't get access to them. We need you to be on the internet. And everybody's saying, well, what's the internet? And it was this thing. And I'm probably seriously blowing the story, but Charles and his colleagues went and got them authorized to be the first commercial that we know of, the first commercial site on the internet. So all these years later, all this is coming back to him, and it was like walking down a very familiar road for him to go and look at this research and pull these journals in and make them available on the site. So I just, it's amazing how things come around in your career, things that you did sometimes decades or years and years ago, and all of a sudden it comes back up. I find that stuff constantly. So that's what I'm most excited about. So what am I learning? I mean, every day, and I know I say this every week, but every day some new member comes along and exposes us to things that that are innovative and new and pioneering. Dr. Dunn is certainly one of those. Just a few weeks ago, I got reconnected with somebody I worked with about 12 or 13 years ago at IBM. Dr. Kathleen Grave is on the site now. And she was with, is anybody familiar with Watson in the Watson division of IBM? Watson is an artificial intelligence and machine learning engine created by IBM. And one of its claims to fame is they put Watson on Jeopardy and had it compete against the top human champions on Jeopardy, and it beat them. But beyond, game playing on Jeopardy, Watson has been aimed at a lot of different industries, including healthcare, and takes in all this data, processes it in its AI and machine learning engine, and produces results. And in many cases, they put it up against doctors, and it was conventional medicine doctors, and it was able to diagnose and prescribe illnesses better than human doctors were.
Wow.
So she was in that group for many years, then retired from IBM and founded two companies that are based on and I'm kind of probably mispronounce this name, but cannabinoid products. So she's legitimizing her company. She's the CEO of Lassen Labs and Inbold. And they're legitimizing the products based on cannabis. And because she saw, that market is obviously growing, hemp-based products are growing very rapidly. And there's, like a lot of things, there's a lot of products coming out in that space, some legitimate and some kind of sketchy, but she wanted to kind of like take her experience and her group of colleagues and put it together and legitimize that industry. And so she and I are going to talk. She's, as I said, she's in the collaborative. We're going to talk about ways that she can bring those products in. And I'm probably going to do a profile on her, one of our interview profiles, either live or recorded. We're going to talk on Monday about next steps on that. But that was very exciting to me. And then another member just joined, Dr. Kate Klamer. I think her last name is Klemer. And this is kind of the week of hard to pronounce things, but she's a specialist in biodynamic craniosacral therapy. And biodynamic craniosacral therapy. That's so I went out to her site and again, blown away by the new pioneering things that people are doing. And what's so fascinating to me, and it was part of our hope, it was part of our plan, that we bring folks like you all in here, bring experts from different fields, innovators, pioneers, that kind of thing, and you can learn from each other and constantly raise the tide for all of us. And I just, I'm so fascinated by it on a daily basis. We're growing on a daily basis. We're approaching 90 members in the site now. And like I did with our LinkedIn 100 mark, I'll celebrate that once we pass 100 and 500 and 1,000 or whatever. Those small milestones are important. And you all early adopters have really helped us get this thing off the ground and grow it and have it going off in so many different areas. So what are we working on? The third part. So what are we working on right now? Obviously continuing to build out these libraries. So it was an idea in one of these sessions, I think 2 weeks ago, to put together a case studies library. So the beginnings of that are out there, and that fed the spark for the journals and research library to underpin that. So our goal is for you to be able to go out there and work with each other, work in these disease areas, work in therapy modalities, do whatever collaboration you're going to do in your groups, but always know that you've got a foundation underneath you of the research and the journals and the case studies and the things that go back hundreds and hundreds of years that give you a solid foundation to stand upon. It just aggravates me to no end when, I don't know if I've shared this story, but I've got two older brothers who are both on statin drugs, and they both went back to their doctors after getting a big lecture from me about statins, and not just a lecture, but sending them research, and their conventional medicine doctors both had the same answer. There's no science behind that. That's not proven. You're putting yourself at risk. It's like, oh my God, this is a huge battle we're up against of a lot of money in the pharmaceutical industry, a lot of careers of people who have built their careers on the pharmaceutical industry, and a lot of misguided thinking. And the only way we're going to get past that eventually is to have this solid foundation, have the work that you're doing, and the collaborative work that we're doing in the collaborative. That's why we named it that, to keep moving that forward. So I'm gonna shut up now and turn it over to you and hear what do you want to talk about, or what questions do you have, or Sherry's relatively new, and she and I are going to talk this afternoon because she's got a really interesting background. And but anybody have any thoughts or questions or concerns or suggestions or whatever?
Not off the top of my head. I had a vacation week this week, so
You did?
I
What'd you
took
do?
half of it off. It was my birthday on Friday, so my husband and I went away for a few days. Are you taking off, Ralda? I'll talk to you later.
Happy. Well, the
Yeah,
service.
I ended up double booked too, so I have to jump real quick. I did add invite, and she accepted my microbiome labs rep, Jill Tiemann. She
Oh
joined.
yeah, I saw her. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's with Microbiome Labs, and I know that they're doing a ton of research on microbiome stuff with spore-based probiotics. So I don't know if you wanted to reach out to Jill and see how that could intertwine. I said she'd have to reach out to you about specifically how you wanted that interface to be.
Yeah, so I'd love to talk with her. I gave her my usual welcome, but there wasn't a lot in her profile. So, but now that I know more of the background, I'll reach out to her.
Yeah.
Let
So,
her learn more about that.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I feel like I'm just playing catch up. It's been a few days of just trying to get back in. My vacation wasn't long enough, and I came home and my body was like, "You're not ready to work yet." So I was sharing on my morning call with some other practitioners. I'm still stuck in vacation mode. I'm really trying to pull myself out. So
Yeah, that certainly happens.
I know what is today? It's crazy. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I'm just blown away. I went to bed last night. I said, so tomorrow's Wednesday. And my husband's like, no, honey, tomorrow's Thursday. And I'm like, oh.
Craziness.
Yeah. So,
Dr. Dunn, speaking of being away, would you mind sharing what you were doing up in New York?
Oh yeah, it was so cool. So this film they asked me to be a part of, it's called Backbone, and it was by the same director and producer of a movie called Doctored. Did you get a chance to look at Doctored?
I haven't yet. I was going to pull it down and watch it this weekend.
It's right up your alley, and in fact we could probably put a link on the site, but they're so heart-centered, and they were just really nice people. And the guy the protagonist of the film is he's the toughest of the tough. He's a SEAL team member, para-jumper. He goes in to do the really difficult rescues in the very most intensive fighting zones around the world. So he's intense, but he's going around and looking at alternative medicine for treatment of PTSD instead of drugs and other invasive kind of therapies. So it was really fun to talk to him and work on him. I did some of my muscle testing on him, but we did the DNA test on him, and I'm going to get the result. We're still waiting for those results. Probably should be like today or tomorrow that we'll get the full results from our DNA and from our lab, the private lab, and then I'll be able to do a reading on him. And we're going to try to record that. But it was a really fun experience just to fly up there and see how they do this kind of filming. And they did a bunch of interviews with different doctors talking about how they approach natural healing, et cetera. Looks like they're going to release it on November 9th, pretty quickly.
Wow.
that's a
Wow.
great turnaround. So where can we see the doctor's one? Where is that?
Just Google, yeah, Google Doctored, the movie, Doctored the movie, and the guy's name is Bobby Sheehan is the director. It was a trip. really
Yeah,
interesting.
would you mind giving just like a few words on what Doctored was all about? Because it's fascinating.
Yeah, it was looking at, the AMA systematically was trying to shut down the chiropractic profession, which is one of the things that they were doing. But how much time do you want to spend on it? Because it's kind of interesting.
I have to jump. I want to hear it, but I'll have to catch it on the replay, guys.
Okay.
Well, they were
All right,
systematically sending out emails to other doctors that were involved in the AMA and saying, do not ever refer to a chiropractor or another natural healthcare practitioner. I mean, it was systematically trying to shut down alternative medicine. And a reporter went in and posed as a supporter of the AMA and said, this is so great what you're doing. We're going to get them. And the guy got so excited. The guy he was interviewing got so excited, he showed him the emails. So turns out he was like a double agent, and he was working for the good guys. And he was like, dang, this is it. We have proof positive that they were systematically trying to shut down, especially the chiropractic profession. So the Wilkes case, they went to court and said, AMA this is what they're doing. This is bad. And they actually won based on the evidence that this guy accidentally gave them. Oops. So, but it's on alternative medicine and a little bit on vaccines. Bobby Sheehan wasn't super excited about that piece of it, but the pro alternative medicine and the, how snaky the AMA can be when it comes to alternative medicine.
So this next film picks up from there and takes it forward, or what is the focus of this film?
It's a little different. It's more about helping vets with PTSD with alternative medicine, giving them alternatives. So it isn't anti anything, it's just pro alternatives and looking at, non-medication alternatives. So he went around the country filming in different alternative medicine clinics, getting different treatments, but also just interviewing doctors and other practitioners. And the guy that was in front of me was interesting because he's an advocate for natural medicine. He's not a doctor, but man, he was so well spoken and so professional, and just talking about how alternative medicine isn't allowed in the military.
No, it's not.
No, they only allow medical treatment, not alternative treatment. So he's a big advocate for getting chiropractors in there and other practitioners, and so well spoken. And he's motivating a bunch of different types of practitioners to get involved and get legislation passed so that we can be involved, and talking about the science behind. Look, when they get alternative medicine, they get much better results with no medication, without getting them hooked on anything, with increasing the productivity of a soldier and the lifespan of a soldier through natural methods. And he showed the statistics, and he was really impressive.
Wow.
And there was a guy after me who was a medical doctor and a chiropractor, and after 9/11, he had like 16 people that he lost in the World Trade Center, because this is where I'm in New York, right? And so his wife said, if you're a patriot, you need to sign up right now. He's 50 years old, and he signed up for military duty at 50 and went for another like 12 years to fight. But it was interesting because he mostly ended up doing chiropractic and natural medicine to these soldiers who loved it and really had fantastic results. So it was interesting to hear his story too. So it was a fascinating, just a glimpse into this. It's going to be a 9-part series interviewing these different doctors and how they
Really?
help the soldiers. Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. I can't wait to watch. Well, I'm going to make a serious attempt to watch Doctored this weekend, because I've been wanting to do that. We've just been burning it at all ends recently, but I want to see that, and I can't wait to see this other series. That's phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, and so I got to talk about how we can change brain chemistry, and how, it was interesting. He's intense. The guy that was interviewing, the SEAL team dude, lots of pent up energy, and he was, I did his reading. I was like, do you have surely you have the warrior gene? That's why you're kind of in the military. But he also had that comp gene that makes people anxious, and that combination makes people OCD. And I said, "Are you OCD?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "My wife will park the car and I won't tell her, but I have to go out later and straighten it up." And I was testing him, and he's straightening up my materials as I'm testing him. And I'm like, "Dude, I had those there so I could remember what tested week on." He's straightening up things as I'm going along.
Wow.
It was interesting to see it in his genetics and tell him about it. It's like, there's a reason that you are, and there's a reason why you're also susceptible to PTSD. And so that's the piece that will be interesting, is looking at, who is going to be susceptible to PTSD, and we should probably not put them on the front lines, of battle, because they're more likely to suffer from this. Put them in a less intense role. So that was kind of what I talked.
Fascinating stuff. So what's kind of the path forward with him? So you're going to go. You did muscle testing. You did other kind of you did the genetic profile stuff. So what next?
So we're waiting to get his DNA back, and he's going to come down to Miami, and we're going to film me going over his genetic report and showing him how it relates to kind of things he's suffering from now too, including the PTSD.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what powerful stuff.
I think it is. I think it was very exciting to be included in that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So of my two older twin brothers I was telling you about, one of them went to the Naval Academy. He was in the Navy, so he's going to VA doctors, and his VA doctor was the one that's giving him the riot act for questioning statins, and say, but there's a double reason for it. One, he's a conventional MD, and he's military, so they're marching down the path. So wow, hopefully this stuff will help change a lot, actually.
Yeah, and we want to do, we're doing a nonprofit. The plan is for My Happy Genes to do a nonprofit for PTSD and the homeless. So this is a great connection to that group. And if we can, educate the VA that, it's not just about drugging these guys. They don't need that. They need to, get their brain chemistry balanced in a natural way.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a whole new world for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Sherry, this is the kind of stuff. This is why I'm so excited about what's going on in the collaborative, because these are the kinds of things that are happening out there. This is the kinds of things we talk about each week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent a lot of roles sitting in a hospital, trying, looking at different outpatient, inpatient care, and then more recently in the Medicare Advantage, and kind of seeing what the priorities are in that environment. Well, it was with physician, it was with primary care. So the growing of the need for primary care, but I also, just having the exercise physiology and some of the therapy. I mean, this is the way it's going to go because of the opiate problems and, the need to kind of change how we take care of people.
What's your background, Sherry?
So I have been in healthcare administration, but my background was I was pre-med exercise physiology. I've did some internships like in cardiac and pulmonary rehab. And then I was thinking about going to like PT or medical school or, anything that was healthcare. I just knew that from a young age, but I got into health administration, but my roles were always I was in a lot of the clinical areas. So it was like management engineering, program management, quality. So trying to get them through like clinical outcomes. And so to me, it's always been part of being the wellness side of it. But, some of it was spend, some of it was patient flow, just different types of roles there. And so I just was looking at kind of where do I want to go from here, and so I always I love innovation. I like seeing things change in healthcare, like new technologies, new types of products, but also just where does the industry have to go? We know we spend a lot. We know people aren't healthier. We know there's a lot of chronic. I just dealt with a lot of chronic care, like people that have 3 chronic health conditions, how much they spend, how much they end up readmitted to hospitals. And so whatever is happening is just continuing. And I actually my father's a physician, my sister's a physician. So I believe in medical degrees, but I also believe in alternative wellness and health promotion and trying to get this population to be healthier in the first place. Because we obviously are not, but we spend a lot.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about you and Rich is that, you know, you come from that side. And Rich, your background in, you know, pharmacology really helps you see both sides of the story. So I think both of you are uniquely positioned to give a balanced information and not just be, you know, anti anything, but pro.
Bingo. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was so interested in talking with Sherry. And I mean, she's got a tremendous amount of things in her background that give a different perspective on it, like I do, like Charles does, like it's so interesting to me that the work that Robin Stewart and I have been doing over the last few years, really across disciplines, across healthcare, across the United States, largely, some Canada, but it allows us to see, like I say, it's like the forest for the trees. It allows us to step back and see the forest, because so many physicians are focused on the trees in front of them, you know, and they're busy with patients, and they've got weeks or months waiting lists and that kind of thing, and they're doing the work, making the muffins every day, and so to be able to step back and look and see these things and pull these things in from our careers, like, you know, the history that Charles had that I was just talking about, and, you know, like Sherry, I mean, early in my career, I was in the technology industry doing, you know, healthcare, doctor office profitability models, and that, you know, that kind of was the first insight into the 7 to 15 minutes per patient, you know, 15, 17 minutes per patient to run a profitable practice and that kind of thing. And, you know, all those things that stick with you over the years, and you come back and you look back through and say, wow, there's that piece, and you know, there's the profitability model piece, and then the, you know, 8 or 9 years that I spent working with pharmaceutical companies on new drug development and business development around drugs. It's like, wow, that gives you a huge, you know, insight into what their motivation is, and you know, like you said, there's a middle ground. There's, you know, I try very hard not to take sides in this thing, but it's really difficult when you see, you know, what's going on in the pharmaceutical industry and how much it's controlled insurance and the government, and, you know, and
Absolutely.
everything else, and how frustrated patients and doctors are to have their hands tied, you know.
Well, this, you know, brings up that same point that Doctor comes to. It's like, you know, we can get a little paranoid, like, yeah, they're bad mouthing us, they're trying to shut us down, and they really are. And to talk to your, you know, your brother, and say, you know, there's no science behind that. It's like, it's a concerted effort that comes from the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies to say, this is the only thing there is.
Right.
And that is not cool. And that's why, you know, you doing what you're doing is so powerful. And the education part and the journals are so important, so that we can look this up. All right, I need an article that shows me that statins are not a good idea for some people. You know, I need that info, and here it is, you know, at your fingertips. You can go, okay, you know, I'm going to send him 50 studies that show this. How many do you need? How many will convince you? How many is enough for you to get it, that there is science behind what I'm saying? You know, it's funny.
Well, like the plane ride story that you told, I think it was last week, with that cardiologist, and, you know, you opened that guy's eye. I mean, he might have gone home and just, like, had a nervous breakdown or something, because you said everything. You basically put in front of his face, everything you know is wrong. Yeah.
And sometimes it takes 10 years of seeing research, trying things, to realize it just didn't do what people wanted it to do. You know, so it's like, it may have, people really thought it was the way, because that's how they were educated in med school, and every other, you know, avenue, every convention you go to is about training. And so, you know, sometimes it takes years of seeing trends that just aren't working. You know?
And you know, the thing that's going to win the day is not emotion, it's going to be science. It's going, all right, let's talk. You know, the statins shut down energy production right at this pathway. And yeah, maybe you lower your cholesterol, but you also create all of these situations, and that is not made up. You can look in your physiology book, it's right there. So it's like, that's how we're going to win this, is but with a rational argument, not like, hey, you shouldn't do that, that was nasty.
Yeah, and there's going to be times where you still need the surgeon, you still need a chiropractic, you still need health coaches. I don't know why they can't all work in the same continuum of care.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
That's the way it should be. And in many countries it is. I talked to medical doctors from Russia, and their first line of defense is nutrition. They talk to them about diet and then supplementation or herbs, and then they use medication or surgery. And
Absolutely.
that is financially sound too. It's not just like common sense. That makes a lot more financial sense for a country, not to waste money on surgeries and drugs unless you have to, unless it's really, threatening.
Same goes with all the mental health. I mean, there's definitely a time where you can give somebody some depression medication, anxiety. We all have some of it now, but some of them, are more extreme. But, the fact that we're so quick to medicate versus like go to the root cause of what's actually creating the mental, like instabilities or behavioral health. Is it chemistry or is it like environmental?
Or is it genetic?
Is it genetic, which a lot of times it sadly is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
On another note, Rich, you're an invitation for people to join the PEC for free. Tell me more about that and how that works. I kind of didn't look at it thoroughly, but.
Well, it's so we went to what we're calling an open enrollment model. I wouldn't use the term free. I mean, when they go to the button, we don't have a lot of control over some things, and when they go to the button to join, it says free. But this is an open enrollment period because we want as many people in here as possible to get access to you and get access to the other, great, experts and products and research and everything else that's on the site. So, our initial assumption, $15 a month is going to be no big deal, but for whatever reason, we're an unknown, we're a new brand, we're a new entity, and a lot of people, until it's proven and they've got enough of their peers and colleagues, like anything, saying, hey, you got to see this, come over here, so we just took down that fence, if that's what it's perceived to be, and said, look, we're in an open enrollment period, come on in and see it for yourself. So that's all it is. There's.
And do they have to register and sign in and then give you a credit card and then you start?
There's no credit card.
So at a certain point you say, okay, either you're on the bus or you're off the bus, kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
And down the road, I mean, this is after all a business, but that's not our number one priority. Our number one priority is changing healthcare, and we're only going to do that by having the strongest community of people in here, like you, and like people who are pioneers and who are driving the front end of things. So I mean, we'll have workshops, we'll have a conference at some point, we'll have a lot of ways for us to deliver value to the community and get compensated for that, and so for now it's about building the community and getting as many people in here as possible. So that's why we're calling it open enrollment. And open enrollment is that's kind of a term that a lot of institutions use, like universities and colleges and clubs and stuff like that. So we're in open. We're just calling it the open enrollment period.
And how long is the period?
We don't know. We're gonna see. So.
And are you getting some enrollment? What's happening with your?
No, we had 11 yesterday.
Okay, are they my peeps? I put it on my group.
I can't really tell. I'm sure we could dig into the background. I've been running so fast. I just see them come in. I welcome them. I'll usually go out to LinkedIn and look at them. You would probably, if you go to the members and click on the new button, you'd probably recognize the names. I suspect a lot of them are from you. We're doing a lot of aggressive email marketing, social media posts, that kind of thing, and then and I know a lot of our folks are kind of reaching out to their colleagues as well. So
yeah, 6 of them are mine.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wondered if they were jumping on that.
Yep. Very good.
Cool.
Well, anything else to chat about, or any other questions or suggestions for today?
No, FYI, I have 39 students now in the course.
Awesome. That is so amazing. You're going to be happy with 20.
No, I'm just like, what, another one and another one and another one. Wow, I'm so excited
Well,
how that.
that just says how important it is and how much it's needed. So that's congratulations. That's really exciting.
Yeah, thank you. I was excited by that too. And to have some income finally after, because I haven't been able to go lecture for most of the year. So I was like, oh, money coming in and for a change. That's so good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's a novel thing.
All right. Well,
It's looking really great. I think you guys are doing a great job. It's looking really good. The site.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've got my login where I can see everything, and then I also go in with just a standard member login to see what everybody else sees. And either way, it's just it's
Looking good.
it's so exciting. Thanks, I appreciate that. Any feedback you can have about any things we should add or ways to make it simpler. I mean, Charles and I had a conversation yesterday about how can we make this as simple as possible. I'm actually right after I get off this call, I'm doing some really quick 1 or 2 3-minute videos just to kind of walk people through some of the simpler things, because you can make technology as simple and intuitive you think as possible, and I've been in that business for 30 years, but it's still a new technology and it's a new environment, and there are different ways to navigate around. So I think a few quick videos are going to help help people get in and make the most of it quickly, because we don't want people getting tripped up by any of the technology. We just want them to be able to get in there and share information, and work with folks like you.
Fantastic. Looking good. Good job, Charles.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job, Rich. See you guys.
Bye,
Nice to meet you,
Stan.
Terry.
Have a great. One question for you. I want to ask you. There he is. I wanted to ask you a quick. Are you familiar with EMR, electronic? What is it called? Is EMR the right thing? The radiation that comes off of phones and computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a couple of different three-letter acronyms for that. And I've for about 1.5 years, I've been kind of talking off and on with a consultant up in Minnesota who specializes in that. And recently, I got somebody reached out to me that has some very interesting technology, and it's all based on kind of the idea that we've got these energies moving through our bodies, and we've got and our bodies are energy. As Tesla told us, and others, and but then we're bombarded constantly by our phones and our computers and everything else. So they've got these devices that lessen the impact on your body of these things. Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I use it all the time. I've got this is from Defender Shield. It keeps the EMFs from coming. And in fact, I have a Gauss meter that measures it before and after. And it really shows it. I've got the computer too. Yeah, because I wanted to prove it to myself. I have one that I use. I have it underneath my computer right now, and it's like a laptop. It's kind of fluffy. You can see it's all padded on the back.
Yeah.
I use that on my lap if I'm using the computer, so I don't get the EMF exposure. And it definitely changes it. I use the Gauss meter under the computer before and after, and it changes it big time. I wanted to know, like, okay, lots of things out there that say they're helping, and do they really? So there's some good stuff out there, and there's some woo-woo stuff that doesn't really work.
Have you heard of a company called Nature's Frequencies by any chance?
No.
So I talked with the founders of that company yesterday, and it sounds like really interesting stuff. They've got a bunch of research behind it. There's Sherry, have you heard? Does that ring a bell with you?
No, I've never heard of it.
And
but I'm worried about all that stuff.
Anyway, so I said, look, we've got an agreement with our practitioners. We will never put anything in front of them, or until we've thoroughly vetted it. And I've had to fend off a lot of different people who want access to this community, and until we've fully vetted it. And they said, look, give us the names of a couple of your doctors and we'll send them the stuff and show and let them test it. So if you would like to test that, to test what they've got,
Yeah.
because they said that they've got all these videos, they've got all these tests, muscle testing in particular. They said you can do before and after of their stuff and you could see it. So they said kinesiologists will know exactly what we're talking about,
Sure.
anyway, it's a fascinating field, but again, I don't want to let anybody have access to this community unless it's rock solid in our minds.
Yeah, that's cool. And I can check it again with the Gauss meter and see if it does anything or not.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. So I'll connect you with them and Sherry, I don't know if you're interested in it as well, but we can talk about that later today.
Yeah, I'll look up too and see what they're about.
Anyway,
It's nice to
Thanks
be
so
able
much.
to offer some good products, things like you say that you believe in. So I was thinking about doing that on my site as well. Sort of like, these are my favorite things. Cool.
yeah, exactly. Because there's so much junk out there and you got to sort it out. I mean, and more every day. So you got to sort it out and see what's what.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, well, great talking with everybody. Sherry, nice to meet
ya.
you. I'll talk to you later today.
Okay. Nice meeting you.
All right,
Nice
have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.